once called leaders of the fourth generation. Then they disappeared. Now, EVERGLOW is back. But can they glow again? It all started with a dance cover. In February 2019, Beijing-based label Yuehua Entertainment uploaded a video to YouTube. 6 trainees performing a cover of the song Rumor. No debut yet, no group name announced. The video crossed 2 million views in the first 24 hours. People started paying attention. On the 18th of March 2019, the group officially debuted as EVERGLOW with the track Bon Chocolat. The choreography was sharp. The sound was bold and confident. Within days, the music video passed 12 million views. Bon Chocolat debuted at number 5 on Billboard's World Digital Song Sales chart, the 6th highest debut ever for a K-pop girl group at the time. Only Blackpink, ITZY, Red Velvet, G-Idol, and Luna had entered higher. Korean media gave them a nickname almost immediately: Monster Rookies. 6 months later, EVERGLOW returned with Adios. The response grew even bigger. Adios reached number 2 on the Billboard World Digital Song Sales chart and stayed there for 6 weeks straight. All 3 songs from the Hush single album entered the Billboard Top 10 at the same time. The music video passed 40 million views in 8 days, then 100 million. Adios also topped the iTunes K-pop chart in 11 countries. Billboard columnist Jeff Benjamin noted that EVERGLOW's strong performance style connected well with international audiences. On the 24th of September 2019, the group won their first music show trophy with Adios on the show. Just months after debut, EVERGLOW was already gaining a lot of attention. And for a moment, it felt like they were becoming one of the leading names of the new generation. If 2019 introduced EVERGLOW, 2020 pushed them even further.
Yeah. EVERGLOW.
In February, they released the EP Reminiscence with the title track. The music video reached 22 million views in less than 2 days. The EP debuted at number 4 on Korea's album chart and sold more than 27,000 copies in its first month. It also became their first entry on Billboard's World Albums chart. Around this time, Korean media started using a new nickname for the group, the Ultimate Performance Boss. And Dun Dun did something else too. It dropped right during the early months of COVID-19, when people around the world were spending more time online. The song took over K-pop in a way that felt bigger than a regular comeback. People who had never even heard of EVERGLOW were suddenly watching the music video on repeat. Then, in September, another release pushed the group even further. On the 21st of September 2020, EVERGLOW returned with The track leaned into retro synth pop, drawing from an 80s sound. It carried a confident tone and included writing credits from member EU. The style felt different from Dun Dun. The energy was cooler and more relaxed. The music video passed 50 million views in its first week. The EP also reached number 1 on the iTunes Worldwide Album chart and sold more than 45,000 copies. By the end of the year, La Dida received one more piece of recognition. Billboard named it the Best K-pop Song of 2020. That same year, EVERGLOW became the only girl group nominated for Best Korean Act at the MTV EMAs. They also launched their own reality web series on Mnet and continued building an international fan base. At that point, the direction seemed clear. Everglow had strong streaming numbers, growing attention overseas, and plans for their first US tour. Then the world shut down. COVID-19 brought live events to a stop, including Everglow's scheduled tour in the United States. Without concerts, fan meetings, and overseas promotions, it became harder to keep that same level of visibility. The group continued releasing music. In 2021, they returned with First, which debuted at number 5 on Billboard's World Digital Song Sales chart. Later that year came Pirate, another track that showed a darker side of their style. Their EP Last Melody sold more than 40,000 copies in its first month, and the music video for First received the Best Music Video Award at the 2021 Asia Artist Awards. The results were still solid, but by then, the scene around them had already started moving differently. By 2022, the K-pop had a new story to tell. Groups like aespa and New Jeans were now everywhere. The fourth generation was finding its leaders, and Everglow were no longer at the center of that conversation. While other groups were breaking through with major hits and constant media attention, Everglow were slowly fading from the spotlight. Then came the problems. In January 2022, member Yiren announced that she would return to China to spend time with her family and continue her studies. She said it would be a short break, but it lasted close to a year. Updates came slowly, and fans began wondering what was happening with the group. Later that year, another issue appeared. In August 2022, aisha collapsed before a performance and paused activities for health reasons. Around the same time, a Southeast Asia tour scheduled for December 2022 was suddenly canceled just a week before the first show. The explanation from organizers was vague, saying the concerts could not be carried out properly. For fans, the situation only raised more questions. The group's only major release that year was an English collaboration with German DJ The Fat Rat titled Ghostlight. It was a solid track, but a single collaboration could not replace a full comeback. From late 2021 to August 2023, almost 20 months went by without a Korean album release. Then finally, the group returned with their fourth single album, All My Girls, and the title track, Slay. During the comeback showcase, the members shared how difficult the hiatus had been. The frustration of waiting, the pressure of watching everything around them continue without them. Slay performed reasonably well. The group won their third music show trophy, and fans were happy to see them back on stage. But the long gap had left its mark. The group was no longer moving at the same pace they once were, and questions about what had been happening behind the scenes at Yuehua Entertainment were becoming harder to ignore. In June 2024, Everglow released Zombie, the lead track from their fifth single album. The song was produced by the Grammy-winning team The Stereotypes, and the album did well. Soon after, the group headed overseas for the Pulse and Heart Tour, performing across 11 cities in the United States and South America. For a moment, it looked like things were starting to move again. But another major change was coming. In May 2025, Yuehua Entertainment announced that all 6 members would leave the company once their contracts ended in June. For a group that had spent their entire career under the same label, the news raised an obvious question. Was this the end of Everglow? Around the same time, the members began sharing more about their situation. Yiren spoke to fans on Bubble and said she had not received any income since debut. She explained that during her 6 years under the agency, she had earned $0. They revealed more about what had happened behind the scenes. Even with a full year left on their contracts, they had pushed to leave early. Onda explained that there were no plans for another album at Yuehua. Staying, in her words, felt like waiting with nothing ahead. The group's departure had not been a quiet contract ending. It was something they had to push for. Then the lineup changed. Mia chose not to continue with the group. Yiren also stepped away, still tied to activities in China connected to Yuehua's operations there. 6 members became 4. The other members signed with CHXXTA Company in September 2025 and confirmed they would continue as EVERGLOW. The situation was complicated. The group was smaller, the label was new, and the 4th-generation scene had changed a lot since their debut. Before they could settle into this new chapter, another issue appeared. Later in 2025, EVERGLOW performed in Moscow and announced a Russian leg of their upcoming tour. The timing was sensitive because of the ongoing geopolitical situation there. Many international fans reacted strongly. Some called for a boycott, and criticism spread quickly online. Then came the long-awaited comeback. On the 3rd of March 2026, EVERGLOW released their 4th EP Code with the title track of the same name. First week sales came in lower than their previous releases. It reflected the situation around them: a smaller lineup, a divided fan base, and several difficult months leading into the comeback. This was not a simple comeback. It was a test of whether EVERGLOW could keep going. EVERGLOW's story is not a simple one. They debuted with numbers that many groups spend years chasing. They released a song that Billboard named the best K-pop track of 2020. But over time, the things that could have carried them further started slipping away. A pandemic, a long break between releases, a label that gave them no income, 2 members leaving, a comeback surrounded by controversy. Now 4 members remain. They are still releasing music, still performing, still choosing to continue as EVERGLOW. Whether that will be enough for the group to rise again is something only time will answer.